Hi.
Greetings. How are you?
Good. Good. Just getting used to all the new Slack stuff.
Oh yeah, very exciting.
Yeah, we just moved over to Slack and ClickUp, and it's been a adventure of the good kind.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey,
Chris.
Chris.
Hey Kev, hey Rachel, how's it going?
Good.
Good,
Good to
man.
see you.
Good, you too. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. I don't know. My camera's been acting funny.
Well, we get the side view.
We'll just you get the profile of the beard today.
You are the third person that's having trouble with cameras today, so it's a
no,
common
the-
theme.
The beard
Mercury
has its own
retrograde.
angle.
yeah, for sure.
Hey, Jody.
Cool. Hi, Jody.
Jody's here. She might be off camera, traveling around, jet setting around.
Yeah, I'm driving.
Okay. Well, good to have you. Maybe we'll get a check-in. I think we're not too booked up on sessions today. There you go. Front on, Chris.
Yep, hold on.
Full on beard.
Full on.
Gotta get all of it.
So, well, let's just jump ahead. Rachel, what do you think? I know it's only 1 minute after. I know more people will come on. I don't want to repeat myself too much, but.
Yep. Yeah, people can catch the replay. I think we got Chris today. We got David Sandell, if he can make it. I don't see him on here yet. And then I think that's it so far. So we got plenty of time. So if we want to dive in to announcements, we can do that first.
Yeah. So just want to make sure everybody has it on their calendar. Just block it out September 14th through 16th. There in Knoxville, Tennessee, where Rachel is. Very excited to get together with everybody. Hi, Anna. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, it's going to be really fun. And we got a lot of cool stuff planned. We probably have about 40, 50 people. So it'll be lively, but, still intimate. Not so much that we can't all spend quality time together. We're going to have some special sessions and speakers. And the theme of it, should I announce the theme, Rachel, or is it too soon?
Yes, do it.
Okay. The theme is going to be beyond client work. So we're focusing on offers, revenue streams, how to supplement your client work with other streams of revenue. So we're going to be going deep into some of that. What's up, David? Good to see you, man. So we'll be going deep into that kind of stuff. Of course, I don't know that we'll record the entire event, but we'll make sure that we get any recordings to the rest of the group, anybody who can't make it, but we really want to get everybody there as much as possible. So we're going to have a great time and really looking forward to it. So make sure that's on your calendar. Rachel, what's next on the list? Let me just pull it up here in Basecamp, which I'm not supposed to be in anymore.
We've got, I just want to make sure everybody knows that the co-working calls that we've got on Fridays, so those are community-wide now, and they've been going really, really well. So if you guys want a dedicated 2 hours to work on your own business, there, you just go to the main community calendar, and there's links in there. This guy is Jack Buchanan, is how you say his name, right? Kevin, I think.
No, it's not quite Buchanan, but it's close.
Close. Sorry, Jack, who's not here. But he's leading those calls. It's been really, really cool. So a lot of people in there are working on client work, blocking out time to work on client work. But for you guys, highly recommend you block out that time to work on your own business. So those have just been super fun. Want to make sure you guys know those are there.
Awesome. And I cannot find
Here,
it.
Kev, I'm going to send you.
I got it.
Okay.
I got it. That's why we're moving out of Basecamp, everybody.
Because no one can find
Really
anything.
hard to find anything. It was easy with a small team, but as we've grown, it's just become chaos. Anybody else on ClickUp or use ClickUp or have used ClickUp in projects? People, you like it, David? People seem to love it.
Yeah, I switched from Asana to ClickUp, but for no other reason than it was cheaper for advanced automation functionality, which is obviously what I'm all about.
Yeah.
But so far it does everything the same as Asana. So
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, everybody seems excited about it. And once we're settled in, everything will be back to normal. Hi, Heather. Good to see you. How are you? Cool. So yeah, in those coworking calls, again, really cool. Just like something to put on your schedule and just treat it like, Rachel and I were laughing about this recently. It was like, I think you were at a doctor's appointment or you were somewhere where you had to wait in a waiting room.
Yes.
And
Broncos heart attack scare.
that's right. That's right. You were in the hospital stuck there. And I'm like, why is it only when there's some sort of medical issue that we get this free time? It's the only thing, the only time I can remember being bored ever is like when I'm stuck in a doctor's office. And I'm like, and every time I remind myself, oh, if you just tell yourself you have to be somewhere, then you suddenly create time for yourself. It's amazing. So that's how I like to think of these calls, is like, it's just on the schedule. It's non-negotiable. And then you get on and you're just off camera, but accountable to the group. And then you sit and you focus and you work on your business. And it really works out great. It's crazy that we need these little tricks, but if you do, that's a good one. Also make sure that you're updating your rules of engagement for clients, meaning who you're working with, who's basically your ideal client, and how would you like to be promoted so that we can promote you in our featured freelancer email. I think of this again, and this is something that we always want to make sure we know about you. I think of it in this frame is, if I meet your perfect client tomorrow, what do they look like and what should I say to them and where should I send them to go connect with you? If I'm in a situation where I'm unable for some reason to make a personal connection, could I send them to a place that they would go, oh, this is the guy Kevin was telling me about. This looks awesome. I've got to book an appointment.
Yeah, this is especially relevant now because Kevin, I feel like you have attended or spoken at more events this year that, well, obviously than the last 2 years combined, but just this year's a lot. So if Kevin's at an event talking to business owners who like, dude, I'm dying for this copywriter, make sure he knows who to send your way.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. The connections. It is a quick side note, and I'll be focusing on, if you guys are coming to the webinar tomorrow, it's going to be really good. Dream Client 2022. And I'm putting more of an emphasis on referrals as a lead gen tool, just because it's, I think it's something we underuse, and it's obviously the best kind of lead you can get. And like Rachel said, I think it's top of mind because I've been at so many events, and every time I appear at any event, particularly on stage, I'm able to make several connections every single time. And I can justify the expense of going to an event for that reason alone, to serve you guys. And so I recommend you fight for space in my mental Rolodex, which just means doing what we do here in Accelerator, filling out your progress journals, making sure I'm updated, your availability, any new offers you have, any new areas you're exploring or interested in doing step one services, that kind of thing. Really important. And the latest one is Ian Stanley just invited me to speak at his event in July. I spoke at, Justin Goff's event already and did a little fun thing at Robin Kira's event. So even amongst, competitors, everybody's always looking for somebody new, and everybody, I'm, done a lot of work to label myself as the go-to person for hiring copywriters. So yeah, let's make sure I'm up to date on what you're up to. Cool. Well, this is great to have this group. And I think we'll have time to do check-ins with just about everybody, which would be fantastic with me. I always just love getting to catch up, even if somebody didn't jump into a session. So if that's all the notes, Rachel, then let's, you want to dive in?
Yep. We got Chris, David, Anna, and then if we have time, we can do check-ins.
Awesome. All right. Start with you, Chris. I know we're honing in on the bat signal here.
Yeah. Going 2 for 2 now, clarity calls. So
I love it. Keep it up.
Yeah, I think I'm circling my bat signal right now. Right now I help 7-figure e-commerce brands uncover hidden cash from their email list, or some form of that. The question, I guess, I think it's a phase 3, phase 4 mix is, should I niche down even more? Because I like sports, outdoor, adventure brands, things like that. That's basically my life, my immediate family. That's what we do. So I am the customer and I buy that stuff. So should I niche down more into those? And then I guess that's my first question. The second follow-up is, once I have that answer, then I can start targeting and creating authority content around that stuff more specifically. And I wanted to know if that's a good idea or if I should stay general on that authority content with email marketing. So yeah, those are my two hooks right now.
Yeah, great question. I'm going to say not, don't think of it as that you're niching down completely into that and putting yourself in that box, because if you can do it for those companies, you could do it for so many companies, particularly e-com companies, that kind of thing. But I would love to see you create a lot of authority content around those kinds of companies and case studies, so that way you have best of both worlds, right? You are this kind of specialist that a savvy outdoor company knows they need help with, and you can point them to specific case studies, whether they're yours or someone else's, about what that looks like. And so, does that answer your question? It's like sort of not really, and yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So if I understand correctly, it's like focus on the categories that I want to work in, and then leverage those to get the clients I want. And then the ones that are, outside those boundaries, make that decision of like, yeah, they see that I'm doing stuff with ecom, with email, and then decide if I want to work with them or not, essentially. Right.
Exactly right.
Okay.
I think of it like, this is another way to think about authority content as almost like a sales page for a service, for a niche, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or using a particular tool. And so it's like a little, so for instance, in the scenario I was given earlier, it's like where I recognize this person. So if somebody just needs automations, I have a couple choices. The found money thing. I could recommend David. I could recommend you. You guys do similar stuff. David's a little bit more on the tech end, where you're a little bit more maybe on the copy end, but still, two people I would gladly connect them to, right? To have the conversation. But if somebody says to me, hey, I'm in mountain sports and I have this issue, bing, 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 bing. I'm saying, man, and I could like say, you know what, I'll send you a link, and I could go to your website or ping you or Vox you, Chris, and go, hey, give me an article with a case study on mountain sports, found money, and shoot them that article directly. And damn right, they're going to read it. It's coming from me, and it's exactly what they need. And so by the time they get on the phone with you, they're just wanting to know, can I afford this guy? Is he available?
Right. No, that's
right. Yeah. So think of it. That's always the context I think about authority content. And I found this by accident, because when I was just writing authority content, because I was friggin' lonely and wanted to share what I was learning, it would have that effect occasionally, people would say, somebody sent me this article. I read it. It was like a light bulb went off, and can we get on the phone? And I'm like, oh shit. So it's really effective that way.
Perfect. No, that makes complete sense. I'm actually in the process of finishing up a project with a power sports company. They sell products for like the size of street bikes and dirt bikes and stuff. They're called grips. They're basically just rubber grips you stick on the side of the tank, and it gives you extra grip on the bike, right? So I'm hoping to pull a case study out of that, because we did a full automation build. They have a list of like 15,000 with no automations running. And I'm like, holy cow, you're leaving so much money on the table right now. So that essentially would be a piece of authority content that I put up and piece out in different places and say, hey, this is, if somebody comes in and says, hey, this is what I'm looking for, and I'm in, dirt bikes or street bikes or whatever, or parts, I can show them that.
It's so great when it can be your own case study, but it can also be aspirational. Just keep in mind, if you go, man, I'd love to have a company like this, because you see another company doing it well. Even from the outside, you can probe as much as you can. You can probably like see all their Facebook ads by going to the library, things like that. And then write an article, do a video, whatever it is, about why they're doing great stuff that more companies should do. Send it to them. Let them know you're an admirer of their marketing. You're paying attention. You're looking at them. That alone can lead to opportunities of, Jesus, wow, this like talented copywriters watching our shit. This is amazing. If we ever need a copywriter, this is our guy. Or it's a signal to all their competitors or anybody, you know what I mean? So it's sort of an aspiration. It's almost like you're manifesting with the authority content what you want to be real.
Perfect. Yeah, that makes sense. That's super clear. So thank you.
Cool, man. Yeah, happy to help. I'm excited
Yeah.
to see it play out. Make sure
Yeah.
you ping me these articles as you write them. All right. I want
Okay.
to.
I've been putting I've been doing video email breakdowns. And putting them in my
Okay, cool.
Quartz journal, so I can ping a couple of those to you and show you the channel.
All
So
right.
I've got 7 up right now over the last like 8 days. So
Oh, great.
yeah,
Fantastic.
cruising.
You're moving fast on these. Love it, man. Action taker. I dig it.
Yep, so,
Good work,
well, thanks,
Chris.
Kev.
Awesome. Hey, David, let's talk, buddy.
Hello.
Hello.
Before I do my big check-in, Chris, you should check out, it's called Basecamp Outdoors on Facebook. It's a massive job board specifically for the outdoor industry, and there are tons of hiring managers, directors, whatever, all the way from the big boys, Arc'teryx and Columbia, down to little mom and pop people that need contractors sometimes.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. And we'll actually, well, maybe be talking about that project right now.
Cool.
Oh,
Because I'm
cool.
working with the Basecamp group, and
Oh,
yeah,
awesome.
actually I was a sponsored outdoor mountain athlete for a while in my younger years.
Well, lots of synergy here.
All right. So, well, beginning of this year was quite rough. Then I decided, well, then I've always kept my eye on 2 different companies that I might want to work for. One being Zapier, which a lot of people in here know of. Another one being Thracio, which just an old friend started working there, and it seems like a good company. Anyways, got into the job interview process with Zapier, made it into 3 out of 4. Would have been my dream scenario, but ultimately they said no. So that took like the last 6 weeks of my life, was convincing them that no, I'm willing to leave my agency, but at the same time, still onboarding new clients at my agency, just in case the interview didn't go well, which apparently that happened.
Did they say, give you any conclusion who they ultimately chose or why?
Yeah, they gave me 3 reasons. Basically, it all came down to I had a bad day and just didn't represent myself as well as I should have. Like, one thing was they thought that I wouldn't know how to take an idea from concept and to implementation. And well, and more background, the role was leading a software development team and kind of being the liaison between marketing and engineering, which is basically my life anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, they said that they didn't think that, or they felt there was a gap in my ability to take something from idea to implementation, which again, I should have been able to represent myself better and said, hey, that's what I do all day, every day when clients come to me needing something.
Yeah.
Another one was, well, they had me do a mock project, and it's true. They made me pretend like I was going to be hired at MailChimp, and what would be the first product that I chose to improve and increase their monthly active users. And I'm too close to the MailChimp development side of things. I actually just chose a project that would fix MailChimp, but not necessarily increase users. So I kind of like didn't answer the question that I was supposed to be answering. So that was a big one on me. And I can't remember the third one, but I did write it down in case they ever have another opening or come back to me. I can, like, it's too late to rebut those things right now, but I can do it at the next one, if there ever were a next one.
Yeah, good. I was going to say that's, lots of crazy things happen when people are hiring a big position like this. So it's nice to know you're in the running.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been like twice as much as I ever made as an engineer, and 3 times as much as I ever made working for myself. And I still would have been able to live in Spain and just work completely remotely. So it would have been a really great situation.
Well, I don't know if there's any way I could, like, endorsement letters or anything like that play into it, but if that's ever helpful, then please reach out.
Yeah. But then on the good side of things, today I just reconnected with an old client. Like, I worked for them on a steady basis and they loved me, but then, well, one thing led to another, and they just, like, just made sense that we both parted ways for a little bit, but then they would always come back to me whenever they had emergencies. And so they hired this new person to kind of oversee all of their tech, and they're just not working out. So finally they're biting the bullet and they're gonna spend the money on me. And it's more or less, it's a CTO role, but with technician responsibilities as well. And it's pretty sweet. It's 10 hours a week, so 40 hours a month with $4,000 a month retainer, and can go all the way up to 6,000, and that's just for starters. Once I start in getting in there and earning their trust, I know that it'll grow more than that, so that'll be good.
Excellent. Good for you. Well, that's great.
Yeah, but all right, so then the thing that I wrote in the forum was, well, I kind of answered my own question, was, so when I started with this base camp, we both had an understanding of what was going to happen. And I said, okay, that's going to take me a week. And I put my pricing, so this is also new, instead of doing anything for hourly, which I have never done, but instead of quoting like a big project, I've just said, hey, I think your project will take me a week. And here is my price for a week's worth of work. And I don't know what the deal is, but man, people are not questioning that whatsoever. Mostly because I don't tell them that it's $150 an hour or even $100 an hour. And I don't tell them, well, your project is going to cost $10,000. I just say, hey, it's $3,000 a week. And they're like, oh, cool, I can do that. So, and so that hourly rate is based on 24 hours in a work week for me, but knowing that if I run into problems, it could go up to 40. And even if it goes up to 40, I am still achieving my minimum effective rate that I need to have.
Great. Is
Is
that the 150 an hour?
No, my minimum is something like 65 or 60.
Okay.
And I bill at 150 just because I do sometimes take on subcontractors and they don't need to know that.
Yep.
So, all right, so we had the pre-project meeting, and I said this should take me a week. She also agreed it should take me a week. We had a pretty good understanding on the project overview, but this is why pricing for me is still such a challenge, is because it's a diagnosis. Like somebody comes to you with a broken toenail and it's really 17 different things that caused a broken toenail that also need to be fixed. So that's kind of what happened, is this 1 week got spread out over the course of 3 months. Now, luckily I was keeping track of my time and I'm still within 40 hours. It's just, I really wanted it to be done in 1 week and not 3 months. And through my talking it through myself in that thread, I just realized I had half of the stipulations I needed in the contract, just not the other half. And
Right.
so I kind of feel like anytime I run into a new, like discrete timed project, I've got now all my bases covered in the contract, and it's just a matter of enforcing them.
Yeah. So that's what was missing, that this can't take longer than 1 extra week or something. Whatever.
Right, because the way that the parts that were missing and the way that it was written was just, I said, I will create automations for you, welcome automations, because they have multiple lists and multiple forms. And so the general thing was, yeah, I will create welcome automations. And at the pre-meeting, that understanding was basically, I think it was only like 5 automations. But now it has ballooned into just a massive thing, because again, per the contract, they are all welcome automations. They're just not the ones that we agreed to, or as many as we agreed to. And the system became much more complex because they were changing. No, we want these people to get this automation at this time, but we don't want to get these people, but we don't want these people to have this one. And we want these people to be able to go through and update their preferences and go through this as many times as possible, but not these people. So again, I didn't have any change clauses in my contract either.
Wow. Yeah, man, that's a tough lesson. And so the good news is, even though it's dragged out, the scope creep is still within the original time, hourly time of the 40
Yep.
hours.
Yep. It'll go slightly over, but that's okay because again, any project is just a guess. I'm just glad that I was within 10 hours of the budget that I guessed to begin with.
Yeah,
And they've
that's
also
really-
already talked about a retainer. So
Okay, cool. Yeah, sometimes you can turn a bit of a loss into a win that way by kind of going with the flow, and then yeah, it's a great lesson. But when you learning the hard way, you never repeat them. That's for sure.
yeah. So I guess my only question, since I've just been speaking, is so this new retainer that I just got today, again, they're hiring me with the idea that I'm just an automation technician, but in fact, I mean, I know the role and the position and the company, it is a CTO role. So my goal is to just, blow their socks off within the first month, which I have already blown their socks off, which is why they've come back to me 2 years later. But just be like, hey, so can I just call myself CTO? So that way I can like put that officially on my website and tell other people that, yes, I am a CTO or fractional CTO.
Mhm. Yeah.
Just wondering,
Can't imagine they have any issue with that. They don't have any other CTO, I'm guessing.
no, they have an operations manager, but this operational manager has become technical out of necessity, which again is why they are
Right.
bringing me back.
Need you so bad now. Yeah, I love that.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't see, I would just, do you think it'd be awkward if you asked them directly? Sounds like you're pretty friendly with them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I wouldn't feel too awkward about it. And I'm pretty sure the guy, I can just send him a WhatsApp and he'll say, call yourself whatever you want.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
That'd be the
I don't
easiest
know.
route. I was gonna say you could just like, well, you probably already did the contract with them for this role.
Mhm.
Okay, I
Yep.
was just gonna say, I would just put it in the language in there, acting in role of fractional CTO.
Yeah.
And unless they scratch it out, it's official,
Yeah.
So cool. Yeah. And that's, this fractional concept is becoming more and more common now. Casey Stanton's doing all this stuff with fractional CMOs. So is that common in the tech world, fractional CTO?
I'm not real sure. I remember I brought this when I first joined RFL. This was one of the things I was talking about, and there was no good name for it. And then all of a sudden, fractional CTO, yeah, just kind of has popped up. And then you
Yeah.
had the podcast, and so now all of a sudden, people are understanding more of what
Right.
it is.
Yeah, it's interesting with the fractional CMO thing. I've noticed is that it means different things to different
Mhm.
segments.
Right. And that's why I don't necessarily like to say that, because depending on who I'm talking to, that
Yeah.
could mean a different thing.
Right.
And
That's the risk in it that I've seen. Like Brenna does it completely differently. She basically puts together a content plan
Mhm.
for someone's pre-launch. But because that term started becoming hot, she would just sold that under that name and people were happy with what she delivered. So it was really just semantics.
yeah.
But it could definitely be risky if.
And that's, I think, as well, it is becoming more of a step one service, luckily for me. But again, just speaking of terms and acceptances, people now understand what marketing automation is. So if I can get in with marketing automation, but then kind of explain to that person that it's CTO or ability to grow into CTO, then they say, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Right.
it feels like you could use the term and then like as your headline, like I'm a fractional CTO. And then as your sub headline, you define exactly what that means to you. So there's no ambiguity. So I'm a fractional CTO. I help 6 and 7 figure business owners or whatever optimize their marketing systems and automation. So they're not leaving money on the table, that kind of stuff. And that way you've just defined exactly what it means to you. So when someone comes to your website, if they don't know what it means, now they do. And if someone had a preconceived notion, at least you guys are speaking the same language.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was brainstorming with her, and I kind of liked the concept of a special project CTO. something like that. Automations CTO, where I know, just play with that, as let it roll around your head. Like maybe there's a way to combine these trending terms so people
Yeah.
get it right away. She was afraid with project that people might think she's a project manager, which I
Mhm.
understood, but she called it, from the tech side, if you called it like marketing project CTO or something like that, I don't know, might be too much, but something to think about. I like what Rachel said too. If you just get the language around it customized to where people wouldn't see it and mistake that you would come
Mhm.
in and do something different.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, man, I'm glad to see you. I know the beginning of the year was rough, and I know you just kept readjusting and kept working and going after these opportunities. So good work, man. Like just chipping away at it. You're in a better place now.
Yeah. A lot of that was taking on a lot of these annoying short-term projects that were not the best, but needed to pay the bills. So
Yeah, you did what you had to do, man. You feel better now? You feel a little more stable and
there's too much life stuff to say yes or no on that. The the job at Zapier was going to be my ticket back to the States, but since that fell through, my business is still not making me enough money where I can afford to live in the States in the lifestyle and in the locations that I want to. So I'm
right.
currently wrestling with the idea that I might just be a Spanish resident for a very long time.
I will say it's kind of the first year that events have really come back in full swing. And if you can make it to some strategic events, it's so clear that what you do is so needed for all these marketing businesses. And I know that that's an expensive investment. So maybe we all chat through some ideas on what would make the most sense. But I can't imagine you wouldn't walk out of every single event with one major client. Just getting really clear about what you do and how you help people.
Go to the right ones. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, man.
Well,
All right. I'll keep you top of mind as always. And it's great checking in with you.
yep. Thanks.
All right, bud. All right, let's talk to Anna.
Hey,
Hello.
I probably don't have a specific question, more of a rant.
Great. Rant away.
So I had a really busy start to the year to the point where I was probably doing too much. The revenue was great, and I very much appreciated earning that much money. But then the last couple of months, it's definitely slowed down. I don't know if that's a sign of where the economy is headed, but I've noticed a real slowdown in inquiries, which has panicked me slightly. But also because I worked on retainer with a couple of clients, and one of them just turned into a nightmare. So I ended up firing them just because I hated it so much.
Mhm.
And then a couple of weeks later, my favorite client let me go because they were having financial trouble. So luckily I just started a new retainer, which replaced that one. Otherwise I would have been in a spot of trouble. But it's made me feel like I don't want to be relying on these retainer clients when there's no guarantee. And because of the volume of work, it kind of made it difficult to agree to any large projects. So I was kind of, I suppose, caught between like, do I want the recurring revenue of having a retainer, but then like, they can just pull out whenever. And that's tying my hands with working with other clients on bigger projects.
Yeah.
Which makes me feel like I ought to be taking on kind of 90-day projects rather than, because historically the projects have been sort of 30 days and then they've just tended to roll into a retainer and I've got trapped in that cycle. But I don't want to be jumping from one project to the next every couple of weeks because I find that quite overwhelming.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean. I think it is a healthy balance, but when you're going through a moment where suddenly you lose two, one for the right reason and one for kind of a unfortunate reason, it just feels like the everything's broken, right? I will say this, I think you could be maybe a little more purposeful about it, but it's natural that good clients turn into ongoing scenarios. And I think it's fair to say to yourself, I'll just entertain those as they come. This is where I would really want to look at that 50, 25, 25 though, and say, okay, I don't want to risk, even on 3 retainers, my revenue being interrupted. So I'm going to keep at max 2, just throwing this out there as an equation. And so if I'm only allowing 2 retainers, here's the criteria, right? So then it's just the same process of, okay, what kind of company would that be? How do I get in front of them? How do I shift content towards attracting them? And then what do I do with the 25, which we would put in the dev category of, okay, I want to date around a bit. I want to do some, again, like what sit and assess, what have people approached you for? What would be fun? Are there things you could do in a week? Are there things that would take no longer than a month? Or it could be a month-long project, but you could do it in 2 weeks. So it's meeting that 50% to earn the 100% goal, right? So when I say that, does anything come to mind just to brainstorm it a little, where it'd be like, oh, I could probably land these kind of gigs all day long, and it would also be decent dating pool.
What's tending to happen now is that I've had a few people come to me to say that they want help with their ads, and then I'll sort of say to them, look, I'll do a really quick, if you give me access to your ads manager, I'll do a really quick audit, like not thoroughly, take me half an hour. And then it turns out that their offer's all wrong, the whole funnel's wrong. Right. And so then it tends to turn into, oh, right, well, can you do a full audit then? The full audit uncovers all kind of nasties, which then turns into a full funnel, which is the way it should work. Right. And that's really what I want to be doing. But I feel like if I've got, I suppose it's a question of my hands being tied by my children, because I don't have that many hours where I can take on project work. So if I have a retainer, it's quite challenging for me to find the writing time for me to also do a really good job on a big funnel project. So I don't know if I just need to kind of go all in on one client for 90 days, forget retainers, or is that a risky thing to do?
You mean only one client at a time? So basically try to take on one client for every quarter, essentially, a new client. Mm-hmm. I think it can work in regards to, what the project is, and you can manage your workflow better. There's a slight risk in a couple things, which is somebody being able to wait long enough. So it's going to be harder to book that the first month of the 3, right? And probably about midway through it'd become much easier. So there's pros and cons. I don't know. I would it's really up to you. You're the one who knows your time. And, I know all the path 1 stuff, all the hustle of marketing, onboarding new clients, doing prospect calls, take up a lot of that energy. I mean, ideally, if you could manage both, like one sort of big project at a time and one little easy side project, just to keep, because again, those referrals to me, I've spent, again, like revisiting how valuable that is. And I've worked with you, Anna, you're amazing to work with. Like, you really just, like, quality is there, the trust is there, that you over deliver. And so I'm sure that every client who can have that experience with you is going to become an amazing referral source, right? So I just, it's really hard to put a minimum value on what that is. Those are like the greatest business cards you could send out into the world. But if it's making your life chaos, but for me, I would feel the most comfortable if I could balance that. That's kind of what I always did, even when I was partnered with Ben, and we would take on one major launch project in our insanest amount of volume, like every 6 weeks. It turned into at least 2 months. And then we would do, once 1 or 2 a month little side projects that we could knock out pretty quickly. And it just really helped the Rolodex,
I got something to add to that. So this is how my friend Laura Gale runs her business. I've always been slightly jealous of it because she literally just works on one project a quarter and her whole year is booked out in advance. very different business. She's a ghostwriter and writes big books. And so it takes 3 to 5 months to write a book, a real book, right? And so what she does is she starts a waiting list. She absolutely has people put down deposits because she can't plan out her year and then have people pike on her. But she also has a list of interested parties, people that she's had conversations with that are really serious and they're not quite ready to pull the trigger. And then as her projects drop off, she said, hey, I've got a space opening up. Did you want to lock this in? And they're like, oh, I'm not ready. She's like, okay, no worries. I'll touch base with you in 6 weeks. And she just keeps like going back to that list over and over again to constantly fill out her next slot anywhere between 1 to 4 quarters from now. But what she does is just to mitigate the risk is she takes on what she calls brainless projects, which is usually like content editing someone's blog, or like for you, it might be copywriting for someone's social media. You know what I mean? Something like that, where it just literally takes 0 brain power. You can do it in front of the TV at the end of your day when you're fried. And those are just a really low level retainer, like $1 to $2 grand or something like that, where it can be a steady safety buffer that if someone did drop out or you had something happen where you had a client, I don't know, be unhappy or something or tank, then at least you've got a little bit of a buffer, but doesn't take a ton of brain space. So you basically have got like your one like brainless client and then your big projects that you're booking out just 1 quarter at a time.
Yeah, I think that's a problem. I've got too many like major brain juice clients. Like the retainer I've got now, it's just like, do a sales page, right? You've done that sales page. Let's move on to the next sales page. Done that sales, and so I'm trying to write a sales page after a sales page after a sales page, and then landing page, upsell page, email sequence. And so it's just having the brain space to crank out that much copy in the time that I have is the biggest challenge, more than physically having the time. It's having the just running out of steam before my brain just no more.
Exactly. So if you had a client where they literally just wanted you to send a weekly newsletter out to their list, that would be ideal because you could do that on a Friday afternoon and even if you were fried, right?
You don't have
maybe
kids,
I need
Rachel.
to find a couple more of those.
You don't know what Friday afternoons are like.
Well, maybe like a Tuesday 11 a.m.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, this is an interesting little kind of quandary here. I think this is a good exercise, Anna, for us to, please share your thinking and let us do group think on this. But, and I don't want to be like flippant about it, because it really is like one of those Dean Jackson, I'll know I'm successful when. Maybe you could start there as sort of like the big picture of, okay, what if there were no rules, nothing holding me back? I got to say what I woke up and did. But I really feel like you're at a point, Anna, that it would be really cool if you could bring on a partner, someone to do the copy, who it would take, you might have to kiss frogs, you might have to, the part of it that's hard about scaling this way is that you have to be ready to jump in and fix it if they break it, because you're putting your name on the line, your reputation. So that could create chaos for sure. However, as I found, when it goes well, it's like gaining new life. And again, just because I've seen your work, seen how you work, I've seen how organized your thinking is. And if you could get a writer who shares your ideals and your capabilities because it sounds to me, what keeps coming up is it's sitting and writing the copy. That's the hardest thing to get to and make time for, because we need clear head, and it's really hard to get when you got kids running around. So man, if you could be the strategist and the chief on these projects and the liaison, they eventually, you might bring the writer on the calls and view them as an integral part of your team. I did that with Ben at first. Nobody needed to know who he was. Eventually, I just bragged about how they're getting basically 2 for 1 because I have Ben, and they were really excited. So those are, to me, the 2 solutions here. You're just at that point where, and you're ready for this, like no doubt about it. And again, look at Rachel and I. We have a team now of 25. We went from 4 to 25 in 2 years. It seems, you just want to lay down and I don't know, something in the grass when you hear a thing like that. But you just do it and you work it out and you figure it out, and it can lead to some stressful moments. But man, when it comes together, it's new life. It really is. And so I'm not pushing you to do something that you just wouldn't be comfortable with. I just think it could really work well for how you operate and what you've accomplished. And you wouldn't have to turn away as many leads because it wouldn't all be on you.
Okay. Yeah. Well, last week I had a relatively quiet week where I just had the 10-hour a week retainer, and I did some work on a couple of just really low ticket offers that I've started selling to like new subscribers. And just having that space to do my own stuff was so nice, because I haven't had that in such a long time. And I can write whatever the hell I like and no one complains that I've pushed it too far. And so I kind of feel like I want more weeks like that where I can do my own thing as well, like a bit of stuff for someone else and like half my time doing stuff for me as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would just like model that out in a few different ways. You know, it's like categorize on a piece of paper. Okay, what are the services I could easily provide without feeling stress? What are the ones I would enjoy most? And you kind of price them out. You know, what would I, by the way, can I share something with you guys that I just created Sunday, and I'm going to reveal for the first time on the webinar tomorrow. It's nothing earth shattering, but it's the first time I've thought in these terms, calling it the bar napkin business plan. And again, we've probably seen like versions of these out there before, but I thought specifically about freelancers. So this is for phase 2, this model, because I'm doing the EV webinar, but obviously I think these categories play well with any phase. So because I'm just, you know, guys, I always give this advice of like, just pull out a piece of paper, clear your head, clear your area, give yourself some space and think it through. And so if we just think about like, what are the services, Anna, that you could comfortably offer? What's your standard pricing for them? Who's an ideal client for them? What is your competitive advantage? What's your USP around them? Okay, so what's the revenue plan? This is my favorite part. It's like, okay, knowing these are the prices, what do I got to do? I got to sell 2 of those to earn what I want for that part of the pie? And do I need to have one main retainer client who meets these ROEs, who's paying me this? Okay, that's one plan. What if I didn't have a retainer client? What if I only did the one-offs? What if I only did one-off a month or something, right? All these different scenarios you can play around with. And then what's the marketing plan? Like, how are you going to put this in front of people? So we're going to, you know, again, like figure out who are the ideal, we have the ideal client over here, right? So it's like, how are we getting in front of this person? And of course it's authority content and those kinds of things, but also networking, referrals. And so I'll give you guys this. I think it's pretty cool. Just as a check-in with ourselves to go, it can be with any project you want. It's just like thinking through what it is and how we go sell it. Is that helpful?
Yes, super helpful.
I know you said it's a bit of a rant, but I do feel like it's a time it's going to lead to change for you.
With the writing partner thing, do you have to, well, I'm presumably you have to be upfront about the fact that it's not always going to be me doing the writing, but I will be overseeing it. Would you be upfront about it, or just sort of keep it quiet until someone asks?
Yeah, I always was. My caveat is that I didn't do it because what led to it was I was trying to give Ben leads, and he was so abysmal at communicating with. I said, like, BCC me on the whole, and I was like, oh, this isn't going to work. I would never hire this guy. He was very socially weird. And so I said, all right, never mind, man. Like, I'm just going to bring you on. I can't remember the first couple, if I told anybody or not, because again, I took it upon myself to know if I had to stay up all night and fix what he did, I would do that. So maybe for the first smaller ones, I didn't say anything. I just put it on myself. But soon after that, I definitely did and sold us as a team, and people were thrilled. We were known as, Kevin and Ben, and it worked really well. So just use your judgment on that. You're not lying to anybody, because again, it's not going to leave I know your standard. It's not leaving, you're not hitting send on anything you wouldn't send if you created it yourself. So I don't think there's any integrity issue with that sort of that internal test.
Okay, cool. So now I just need to find a socially inept, amazing writer.
Not hard to do. Yeah, well, that's the thing. It'd be, I think we have plenty of them around. So, and think about that might, if you really do want to entertain that area, be like, okay, what's a writing test? Just put it out and say, hey, look, I'm looking for this potential scenario. This is a cool thing about being in a group like EV is you can be really open about what you're trying to do. And, just ask people who are interested to send you some stuff and go from there and let it be organic. And if you choose to go another way or whatever, that's fine. It's not awkward. You're not guaranteeing anybody an outcome. You're just saying, hey, I'm exploring this. Who finds this interesting?
Okay, awesome. Cool.
And it's really weird to have lunch with. Even though you work together 5 years, you have the same conversation at lunch every single time. Those are the requirements. Oh God. Okay, cool. I hope that's helpful. And I really feel like this is where you're at. So stay in touch about it.
Yeah, I will do. Thank you. Super helpful.
Awesome. Cool. Can we check in with David? All right.
Anna and David spoke about, all the things that are kind of happening with me. So that was convenient. Kids and leaving the country. So,
Yeah.
By the way, like I'm astonished at how much, just like, honey, can you hold the baby for just 1 second, has like eaten away into like my actual writing time. Like it's hard to like sit down and get the focus going. I'm like, all right, here we go. Oh, wait just 1 second. All of a sudden it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, what happened?
Oh yeah, dude. Wait till he can run into your office.
You mind if I check my blood sugar 1 second? I just felt something weird. For real though. But sorry, the Beatles. So something very cool happened, and is kind of happening. Oh, okay, good. So I got just a couple of things I want to like kind of put out there because I haven't been around for the last couple of weeks, and something very cool came on, unexpected too. So over at Financial Copy World, right? Like I'm a little weirded out by the fact that like some weeks like I'm doing everything, and then like nobody speaks to me at all for like a week, and I'm like, am I still with the company? I mean, what's going on? Like, am I fired? And like, like all of a sudden I get like a Slack, just like, all right, we need 4 lift letters, like 5 like space ads, and then like, nothing. I don't know how to deal with that, so it has me kind of like, like I put about at least a solid year into like financial copy and like all of that, but like and I'm still pitching promos. I'm about to, like, I've been on with the rest of the copywriters, and I've got the feeling that Aaron over at Malden hired a bunch of people that all kind of fit the same profile. Like people who have like interesting lives outside of financial copy. Like they're all like me. They all had other careers and kind of came into financial. And they have a lot of life experience to draw from. Maybe that's a nice way of saying we're old, but nah. And they're like not exactly junior copywriters. Like we're all staff writers, according to him. Like we're not like, here you go, peasant. Like we're all, like we're not quite senior copywriters, but we're not like beginners either.
Yeah.
And we've all got like, like a lot of interesting ideas to work with. So, that was a bit of a surprise. But until my first promo lands, and like then I'm getting those sweet royalties that I want, like I'm just like, I don't know, like where am I? And while that happens, I'm not going to go prospecting for clients exactly, and I don't want it. I don't want anything that distract me from what I'm really trying to do. And now that I'm also in this world, I'm kind of like thinking about the business model here, like so in financial, we get like our whatever, like our pretty good like retainer to be in-house.
Yeah.
And all the money comes from royalties, which we only get if we're writing promos.
Yeah.
And Malden is a smaller outfit. So, I'm starting to wonder just exactly how much royalty money we can get,
Right.
or at least in financial, because, like I wrote a lift letter, a couple lift letters that generated like $5,000 in like a couple hours. And I was like, all right, like now I'm like really, I've got some firepower. Like I've got some copies like really happening. It's getting good. And the other bonus part is I really feel my skill like getting there, which is like the one thing I've valued this whole time.
Yeah.
Because like everything that happens in the world of clients kind of feels useless until I feel like 100% able to deliver on everything, which I don't quite feel there yet, but I can clearly see that given a couple more months at the rate and the rhythm that I'm going now, I'll be able to handle any project as a writer, like no problems. And I don't know, I'll be able to stand by my work and be happy about it, so I'm not in a bad place. I feel good, I feel
Right.
good. I'm just kind of like, I'm trying to look down the road, and I want to get to the other two things, and then we'll tear it all apart.
Okay.
So, like, I don't know, like it's weird to like be on a monthly contract and not be getting like constant like assignments, and just always, I don't know, like I worry. That's kind of my
How big are the swings? Month to month, week to week, project to project.
Well, I've kind of like inserted myself into the conversation and made it obvious, like whatever work you guys have, give it to me. So whenever they have inline ads or like space ads, like give it to Dave. I got myself into a weekly project that I'm writing sound bites and YouTube shorts for the guru at the company, Jared Dillian. Then then there's a weekly email that goes out to the list on Thursdays, and like I'm getting myself involved, but it still feels like I'm like fighting for scraps, like I'm fighting for my space, and I don't feel like I'm going to get that real respect until I get a promo accepted. That's the language they speak there. Like they don't care.
Yeah.
So I'm in Chris's like one person agency program because I was like, all right, you know what? Maybe I can bring email automations into financial copy, because, if I think of their this promo like land as like the passing game, like they don't have a ground game, like it's all like promo, like they
Right.
don't just like, so I'm starting to love the idea of email automations for financial clients. Like that sounds great. And and then I'll tell you this one cool thing and we can get to it. But the cool thing that happened is John Benson reached out. He's coming down to Brazil. He needs somebody to translate a whole bunch of stuff. And he started like dealing with people down here, and they started like, just like being unethical, which was kind of expected. And so I got in touch with a whole bunch of gurus like down in Brazil, and a bunch of them started saying, Dave, you're pretty uniquely positioned because my Portuguese is just about native, to be fair. They're like, there aren't very many people who could deal with Brazilian companies and bring them into the direct response world in the US.
Yeah.
And just be an agency for them. And that just like big light bulb. I was like,
Right.
holy crap.
Yeah.
There's like literally like, I don't know anyone else, to be honest.
Yeah. Right. Me either.
All right. That's all my stuff.
That's amazing. No, we've been kind of talking about this for a while, but it was always a matter of when will the opportunity of it start to take some shape. You can't go out and build it yourself and try to be a freelance copywriter on the side, right? It's just about those. So this will be great if you can start to meet more of these players through John. He'd be a cool guy to partner with, or however it works. But you're right. You are 100%. I mean, talk about a bat signal. Very, very niche, but huge, huge upside, huge opportunity. So stay in contact about that. I would love to see how that develops. The other thing, man, I hope I am flying Thursday to Vegas for Carlton's mastermind, which I hope Aaron is still a part of, because if he is, I will grill him on this stuff a bit for you. I would just be interested to hear his point of view on it. It really only matters how you feel about it and how I guess I'm trying to figure out, Dave, how much of this is natural. I don't want to call it insecurity, but it's basically
it's a lot of insecurity. It's
insecurity of being a part of a kind of higher level team and wanting to know your place. And if the silent weeks just sound so loud to you, but they're completely normal to everyone else.
I kind of feel like it is, to be honest. So now what David was mentioning, like I'm giving myself like a real honest assessment, like, all right, how much money do I want to make? And post kid, I want to make a lot. Like no bones about it. I'm greedy. I'm ambitious. Like I know what my problems are. I want all the money. Like I'm after it. So I even sent Rachel a DM about real estate investing before the call. Anyway, so like now I'm like looking, and I've had like big months, like I've had 20K months. So I'm just like, well, why can't I do this? Like, why not?
Right.
why not? Yeah. So, I'm like, all right, so now what do I really have to do to get this like taken care of? And I'm like, all right, here's what's wrong with me. There's plenty. But here's what I can do well. And the do well outweighs like all the insecurities and stuff. And, so yeah, I guess, I kind of feel like I'm over the hump, but like nothing has happened in Malden that makes me think that like my job is in real trouble. I'm just, I'm just adjusting to like that style of work,
Yeah.
it's
Well, it sounds like more than anything else, just on the more practical side of it, you need to, and I've talked to several people now who are working in finance who have the same burning question, is like, when will I have an opportunity to start making some real money?
Yeah.
And it's, Rachel, I'd love for you to speak to this from Bronco's experience. I'm sure it's really hard to answer, and every company works a little differently, but is that an answer? I mean, obviously it depends on your development and things like that, but have you seen anything like a protocol, Rach, that of a time frame, or
Bronco and I talked about this a lot, and David, if you wanted to reach out to him, I'm sure he'd be glad to talk with you about it. But I think a part of it is a cultural thing at the company too. Like it was one of the reasons that he joined Legacy, and he was looking at Legacy and one other imprint, and they both kind of wined and dined him and flew him out. And it was at the other imprint, they're like, yeah, we'll start you off with advertorials and you can write some lift notes, and then maybe in a year we could talk about having you work on a promo with somebody. And he was like, nah, deal breaker for me. Absolutely. And so at Legacy, the reason he went with them is Blair, who hired him, was like, no, we're going to start you off on X amount per month to make sure that all your bills are covered. And then we're going to get you start writing with senior writers right away, so you can mentor and write a promo as your very first thing. And that was a huge thing for him. And the main reason why he went with Legacy is because they wanted to train him to write high level promos, because that's what they needed from the copywriters. And they knew that's how the copywriters were motivated. So I know that's a little bit unhelpful because it's company specific, but I also think it's worth having that conversation. Be like, I'm really hungry and I really want to write these promos. Is there an opportunity for you to mentor with a senior writer so that they can coach me through as I write my first promo? The way that Legacy does it is the senior writers get a portion of their royalties, and to me that's totally worth it. If you don't have a lot of big wins under your belt, to get paid to practice and you still have someone coach you through it, like that's worth it to me for sure.
All right. Well, for what it's worth, I think Aaron really likes the work that I've done so far.
Yeah.
I think no complaints about them as a company or Malden or anything like that. I'm just I'm kind of neurotic. You guys know me. I mean, but
no, dude, I won't say your name, by the way. I don't mean I'll grill him I need some questions answered for Dave. I'm just gonna be inquisitive because I'm the one who connected you guys and connected him to other people, and so I'll just check in with him, like, how's it going? What have you learned about assembling this team? And because he would, the reason he said the magic phrase that gets me very excited about recruiting for somebody, which is, I want to develop new talent.
Well, if you said that, then that seems to be like the path we're on. I mean, I'm pitching ideas, and it's frustrating because sometimes the ideas seem good to me, but like, in reality, like the why now question in copy is very, I don't know, it's trickier in financial than anywhere else. Like, I've got, I don't know if I ever mentioned, like, I'm a big geopolitics buff, and I love that stuff. And, like, I can tell people about like wheat exports from Russia, Ukraine, but like nobody cares. Like, they want to know how it could put money in their pocket, like right now. So yeah, I mean, it's just some like general insecurity, I guess. And like my thought was like, I'll probably try to find one-off clients per month to get myself up to like a good monthly amount of money, before like those sweet royalties start coming in that I'm so, anxious for. But
Yeah.
I'm just trying to look down the road and see where things are going. And, you know, just as general insight sort of thing, I can definitely tell that at some point I'm going to start trying to build a business of my own and products of my own and things like that. Yeah, I mean, I know that about me. And
Yeah. Look, I think that's the ultimate win if you can balance it. With side work, that's always the best answer. But I just want to make sure with you, it's not, because you tend to take on a lot. And so I know I'm always a little hesitant to say more is the answer for you, but you're going to do what you do. But I just want to make sure that if everything else is okay, you're doing much better financially. And like you said, you're learning, you can feel yourself growing as a writer. You're proud of your work now. You don't hesitate to, feel like a pro. Those are huge advancements. And that is the sort of immeasurable result of having a client like this and growing with them. What's the contract like? Last question. And then
the contract is $5,500 a month, and I have a year contract. And I guess maybe like what's on my mind is like, man, will they renew my contract when it comes like to the end of the year? Because I really like the organization. I was a consumer of their content before I was even brought on, and I really like the products they have. I like the gurus they have, and I want to build a company with them. Like, I really like it, and I'm just like, well, am I really like showing them what I'm worth? Am I really doing enough for them? If they want to have me around for 2 years, I'll stick around for 2 years. I just want to, I don't know. I'm just sort of venting, I guess. I started.
That's all right. When you say end of the year, is that like literally December?
November.
Okay.
So
cool.
I want to make sure.
I'll tell you what, whether or not, I'm just going to do a little intel and find out what I can. I'm not going to mention you directly. I'm just going to check Aaron's temperature and see how's it going with developing writers. It's normal that I would check in and see if I can get any insights or what's on his mind, if that's at all helpful. But it sounds like you're fine, dude. I mean, I'm sure. I always say it, man, when they find somebody good, they don't want to go look for somebody bad. You that history of being with them for a year is going to mean a lot. Unless there's better writers, more experienced writers knocking down their door who are willing to work for similar money, I'm sure they'd rather continue. I mean, they have all this history with you, all the onboarding. It took taking you months to understand how they want you to work, how they want you to think. Every time you pitch an idea that gets rejected, you're that much closer to getting it just how they want it. So that's a lot to give up. You know what I mean? You're definitely you're in a good position with that history there.
That I didn't really think about that. That's helpful, because I know their gurus like very, very well. I've read every single portfolio. I've watched, I don't know how many hundreds of hours of YouTube on all these people. Like it wouldn't be easy. Like, I'm sure there's like more experienced writers. Like, I'm sure like if Henry Bingaman like just like, all right, Dave, we'll keep you. But still,
I don't think it's an either or when it comes to someone like that, though. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, we got to get rid of Dave so we can get Henry. It's like, we're going to find money to give Henry and make that a special project. That's just completely different, So there aren't a lot of, like I said, that's why I think, because they brought you in where you are, you're here now, and you have all this history and this knowledge, you're super smart. I think the geopolitical stuff, yeah, they may be like, okay, Dave, but like nobody wants to go that deep. But it's going to be lightning in a bottle when that needs to be the hook, or the big idea or whatever. You're going to be the one who comes up with it. So, because that's your X factor. That's what's on your mind, and it's got to be relevant to the markets. I mean, come on, hugely relevant, right? So
Yeah, well,
I think you're in a good spot, man.
all right. Well, other than that, everything's going well, developing, coming along, and I'm just bringing my neuroticism and neuroses to the conversation. So
You're doing great, man. I'm always really proud of your progress, man. It wasn't that long ago, you were just really pinballing around, feeling
Yeah.
lost. You settled in, you focused, you found direction, you're growing clearly, increasing your value, and it's showing in your bank account. And I'm really happy for you.
thank you. Thank you.
Good stuff. All right, keep checking in with us, man. It's great hearing from you. All right, we're 10 after. I'm okay to do if anybody else has something quick. I'm always up for checking in, either Heather or Jody.
I
You
just
got
got to jump. I got to call with Mary Kev.
Okay, see you, Rachel. Okay, if not, it's great seeing you guys. Jody, you good? Everything's good?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm good. I've got a call with Angie this week, or next week. I'm not sure. So I'll work out some stuff with her. But I
Okay.
mean, I got plenty of work. Just
Good.
making myself do the other things that I need to be doing to move my business forward, which I don't do. So,
Right.
but
Right.
I did hire my nephew to be a VA once his finals are over. So maybe I can
Nice.
at least offload some stuff to him.
Cool. Well, again, if you ever want to strategize that when it comes closer and think about what are the best things he could do, and let's jam. I'm always up for talking about whatever you want to talk about. Don't think it's too
All right.
small an issue.
Cool.
All right. It's good seeing you. Are
Yeah,
you
me
coming in?
too.
Are you coming in September?
I plan to be there in September. Yeah. Be sure to wave at me when you're in Vegas this week.
I will. I'll be
Yeah.
there for exactly 24 hours at the
Nice.
Park MGM. So I'll wave. All right. Heather, nice to see you. Again, if you guys ever need me, everything good? You doing good?
Yeah, I'm fine. My whole world just got derailed this last month because of my day job, but end of May, I'm hoping to be able to get back on track. It's just frustrating.
Yeah, I feel you. Well, you just got to hang in there through those bumps, right? Keep doing the things that are gonna make it easier when you got all the time to fill it.
Yeah, that's what I have to do.
All right.
Hanging in.
Reach out, fill out that progress journal. Let us help you.
Will do.
All right. Thanks, everybody. It's great seeing you. See you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye-bye.